What's up, everybody? What's up? Thanks for hanging out with me for my 40th birthday reflections. I turned 40 today, and it is crazy when I think about just how fast it seems like the time has passed. And I was thinking about, what do I want to do for my birthday? What's something that's going to mean a lot to me and hopefully mean a lot to the people around me? Had an incredible day today, was able to get dinner with my family. So many text messages came through, so many Facebook messages came through. Just feeling the love in all of the spaces and all of the places as I reflect on turning 40. So I just want to thank you so much, everybody who sent a text message, everybody who gave me a shout out, everybody who posted something on Facebook, everybody who sent a message my way, stuff you sent in the mail, stuff you sent on Cash App. Just thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for helping me celebrate 40 years. It's crazy. It's crazy because I remember being in elementary school, in middle school, in high school, and even in college thinking, man, people who are 40, like they're old. People who are 40 are old. That's what I was thinking when I was in elementary school, middle school, high school, and even in college, the beginning stages of college. I thought people who were 40 years old were just old. They needed to pack it up. They needed to hang it up. They needed to wrap that thing up. The older I get, I realize a lot of things that we thought when we were younger just don't hold a lot of weight the older that we get. So I want to take a few minutes to hang out here in this space. Typically, I do a Sunday night live easel pad session, but Sunday night was July 4th, Independence Day, whatever. I know a lot of you celebrate that. It was fireworks going on. We actually got some fireworks to set off tonight in honor of 40 years. So we're going to do that after we get off this easel pad session tonight. But I wanted to take some time, a few minutes, to walk you through some of the experiences that I've had over 40 years. We're going to talk about leading and learning and living. We're going to talk about all of those things for a few minutes. And I invite you to jump in the comment section. If it was your birthday in January, I want to celebrate with you. If, even if your birthday wasn't in January and you're remembering what it's like to be 40, or if you're coming on the edge, coming up real close to 40, love to hear about that in the comment section as well. Shannon hanging out with us saying happy birthday, Shannon. Thanks so much for the birthday wishes. Thanks so much for the birthday shout out. We got Alicia saying happy birthday as well. We got Kevin Wayne Johnson checking in with us as well. Yeah, we're gonna have some fun in this space. Y'all, if you've ever hung out with us on Sunday Night Live, you know how we get down on this easel pad. But for my birthday, I was just thinking about so many things that have happened to me, so many lessons that I've learned, so many experiences that I've had, experiences with Alicia, who's hanging out with us on Facebook, experiences with Shannon, who's hanging out with us on Facebook as well, conversations with Kevin, who's hanging out with us on LinkedIn, and just reflecting and thinking, maybe I'm going to write a book about this one day. What am I going to do with these thoughts that I've collected? And I said, I'm first going to bring them here and hang out with you. My wife is checking in with us on Facebook. That's either my wife or my kids, because sometimes my kids take my wife's phone and put some emojis in there. So either way, my family upstairs is hanging out with us. Sunshine Meeks is with us as well on Facebook. And Cerise is with us. 40 was so long ago for me. That's what she says. I can't remember it, but happy birthday to you. And Cerise, you already know black doesn't crack. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. All right, here we go. Go ahead and hit the share button. We're going to spend a few moments in this space. Let people know about this experience as we walk down memory lane. Hopefully you caught those pictures of me through the years on the intro countdown. Music pictures. I'm not going to put them back up. So if you missed them, you just missed them. All right. We had some little kid pics. We had some elementary school pics. We had some like 20s and 30s. And yeah, we had them all in there. So let's talk about just life for me. And my wife says it's her. It's not the kids hanging out with us on Facebook. All right. So let's talk about life for me and life for you and some lessons I've learned along the way. Julian Johnson, Dr. Julian Johnson, hanging out with us on Facebook. Good to see you, sir. Saying happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you. So there's a section of my life, y'all, a section of my life. And that is from the age of like let's just say like from birth to 10, and we're going to call that discover. So the discovery age for me, the discovery space for me, 0 to age 10. I don't know how many of you can resonate with this. 0 to age 10, I'm just trying to figure out what's my place in my family, what's my place like in the world. At 7 years old, my parents have another child. So a sister is introduced into the family. And I'm trying to figure out as an inner city kid going to private school, living in between really three worlds because I'm an entrepreneur's kid. So there's this family business element that I hang out in, maybe even four worlds. There's this church element because I'm a church kid, like through and through. There's this inner city life that we come home to every single night. And then there's this private school dynamic. And 0 to 10, I'm trying to figure out like how do I fit in this world? And I'm asking some pretty deep questions early on. My parents will tell you. And here's what I know about myself in 0 to age 10. This is the age where in church, I preach my first sermon, and there are plays and there's singing, a lot of things having to do with words. And from 0 to age 10, I'm discovering that words have power. That's where I'm discovering from age 0 to from birth to 10 that words have power. Now, I can't quite put all of it together because I'm in this discovery phase and I'm young, but this is a phase of life where I'm reading. My grandmother used to get AARP magazine. If somebody gets AARP magazine, go ahead and throw that in the comment section. I love to hear if you get that. My grandmother was getting AARP magazine, and I didn't really read a lot of the articles in it because it's written for people well beyond my age. But in the back of the AARP magazine is a word search. And I remember my grandmother handing me the magazine when she would get it in the mail every month and allowing me to do the word search. This is the age 0 to 10 where I'm discovering Reader's Digest. This is the age where I'm picking up really around 8 or so, 9, picking up on the nuances of the conversations that the adults are having wherever we would travel. And I'm keying in on words. And I recognize in this discovery age that a couple of things are happening. I'm not necessarily funny, but I'm kind of witty. Like I'm pretty good with comebacks and quick phrases. And I'm trying to figure out why at this age, 8, 9, 10, why when I start to talk, people pay attention. Again, I don't quite know what to do with all of this. And this is the whole discovery phase. Now, something unique happens in this discovery phase, which almost put me in a place, y'all, where I didn't get out of it. I almost didn't get out of the discovery phase of life. And I just put French toast in parentheses. So I've told this story a couple of times, and it is, man, it's wild every time that I think about it. One of the great mysteries of life, and my cousin Keith Holt Jr. is checking in on Facebook. Good to see you, bro. Good to see you. We got a lot of stories in here I know that we can share. He's a realtor out of Atlanta. So if you are in the Atlanta metro area and you are looking for the home of your dreams, connect with my cousin Keith Holt Jr. All right. So one of the great mysteries of this time period is the French toast mystery. Well, the French toast is not a mystery. The mystery is, y'all, how did the drugs get into my system? That's the great mystery of the discovery phase of life for me. How did the drugs get into my system? I'm in school, and if I'm tracking correctly, my parents are going to, give me the fact check me after they watch this. Somewhere around second grade or so, there's an experience I had at school where I'm just really, really sleepy at school. Super sleepy at school, and that never happens. I had one of those little boy batteries that, hey, I could just go all day. Even if I didn't get a lot of sleep the night before, I could just go all day. But on this particular day at school, I am super duper sleepy, and no one can figure out why. We go through the whole school day. I'm falling asleep in class. My cousin's in the class and she's trying to keep me awake. She actually gets in trouble trying to keep me awake because she's trying to figure out, hey, what's wrong with you? You don't sleep in class. We get through the whole day and we get home and the same situation is there. I'm sleepy. I can barely keep my eyes open. I'm slurring my words. Now, it's crazy that no one at this age, when I was in school, this was happening to me. No one thought, hey, maybe we should get this kid some more help than just letting him sleep in class. Different story. We can go into deep details about that, but don't worry about that. So I get home, still super sleepy. My mom gets home. She's like, hey, what's wrong? What's the problem? What's going on with you? And I just can't stay awake. So they take me to the hospital. And sometimes in the space between getting in the car and getting at the hospital, I slip into a coma. And the doctors say there's something in his system that is just not supposed to be there. I don't know what it is. I don't know the story. That's one of the great mysteries of the discovery age of life for me. How did the drugs or foreign substance, prescription or street drug or whatever it was, how did it get into my system? No one really knows. The doctor tells my parents something is in his system that is not supposed to be there, and his body is going into protective mode as he slips into the coma. And this is what they tell my parents, y'all. This is what they tell my parents. I'm reflecting on 40 years of life today, so this story just hits me really hard today. They tell my parents either he's going to wake up or he's not. There's nothing that we can do. The doctor is saying there's nothing that we at the hospital can do. There's nothing ostensibly that you can do. Either he's going to wake up or he's not. One day goes by, 2 days go by, 3 days go by. And on the third day, I told you I'm a church kid, right? on the third day, I wake up. On this third day, I wake up from this coma. And I hit the little call the nurse button. I remember it's Thundercats playing in the room. I hit the call the nurse button, hit the call the nurse button, and I wake up. And they say, "Are you hungry?" And I say, "Absolutely. I'm hungry and I got to use the bathroom." Gina Rose checking in with us on Facebook saying, "Happy birthday." My good friend Matthew Matovu checking in with us on LinkedIn. Yeah. I'm still a little churchy, right? So third day, woke up, hitting the nurse button because I'm awake and I'm trying to figure out how I got in this situation. It's lost on me how I ended up in the hospital. I do remember being sleepy. I remember being sleepy in class. I remember being sleepy at my grandmother's house. I don't remember anything after that until I woke up and I hit the little nurse's button. And the nurse comes in and she's smiling, like super smiling. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. They say, "Are you hungry?" I say, "Yeah, I'm hungry and I got to use the bathroom." So they bring me a little thing so I can use the bathroom. And I was like, this is odd. Why I'm in this hospital? This is weird, but whatever. And then they roll sometime later as I'm watching Thundercats, they roll the food into the room. Yeah. They roll the food into the room, y'all. And it was French toast. Listen, up until this point in my life, I had never eaten French toast. Or I can't recall. Maybe my parents served it to me, but I can't recall a moment of having French toast. It sounded weird to me, like eggs on bread fried, not really my thing. And as a kid, some of us tend to be picky eaters, but I'm open to the idea because I hadn't eaten in a few days. I'm super hungry and it smells nice. So there's butter and there's syrup, and I put the butter on the French toast, and the butter begins to melt and cascade down the sides of the French toast, and I drizzle the syrup across the toast, across the little triangles, and I cut into it with my knife and fork, and I eat the French toast, and I'm thinking, man, this is the best meal I've ever had. The truth is, it's the best meal that I've had in 3 days because I haven't eaten anything. And listen, y'all. French toast, discovery phase of life. Every time I eat French toast now, Every single time. It doesn't matter if my kids make it, if I go to a restaurant, if I make it or my wife makes it. Every single time I eat French toast right now, I recognize that I don't get to waste time. I recognize I don't get to waste time, because there is a section of life that I almost did not make it out of. And in this discovery phase, it's so important in this phase of life, and I'm reflecting on this first section going all the way across to 40, recognize there is more to what's going on around you than you realize. There's more to the story than you realize. There's more to your team than you realize. There's more to your family than you realize. There's more to the relationship than you realize. And until we embrace this discovery mode, and for a lot of us, y'all, the discovery section of life, the discovery section of your job or your new relationship or whatever, I know even the discovery section of our marriage, it had sections in it where we almost didn't make it out of that. Something happened, a triggering event, a trauma, a difficult experience that you almost did not make it out of discovery mode. That's why so many people who go to college quit after freshman year, because something tragic happened in discovery mode. That's why a lot of relationships break off, and many of them break off prematurely because something happened in discovery mode. That's why you get to the job of your dreams and it's going really well, but then this one thing happens and you're trying to figure out how to make sense of it all. And instead of sticking and staying, you leave the job or you leave the experience because we weren't always ready for certain situations in discovery mode. So 0 to 10 is discovery mode in my life. Good friend Nathaniel Drew checking in with us on Facebook. There's more to what's going on around you than you realize. Mom's checking in. Carmen D. Hunt checking in. Nathaniel Drew's mom's is checking in, saying happy birthday. So thanks for checking in with us as well. Discovery mode. Discovery mode. Let's go to the second section of life, because I'm reflecting on 40 years, and I'm really racing to give y'all 40 years in 40 minutes, but that's a lot to go through, right? Thanks for the hashtag tags, and thanks for checking in with us. So I'm gonna call this section of life 11 to 20, because this was discovery. 11 to 20, I'm gonna call explore. 11 to 20 is the explore section of life for me. See, in the discovery mode, I recognize that words have power, and I almost didn't make it out because I was in a coma. And after 3 days, I woke up. Everybody doesn't wake up from a coma. So I am definitely blessed to have the experience to wake up. And every time I eat French toast, I realize I don't get to play around. I got to make the most of this opportunity of life that's given to me. And that's why part of celebrating my birthday is hanging out with you and sharing with you. My gift to you is these lessons that I've learned over 40 years. All right. So explore phase. Some crazy things happen to me in explore phase. I want to kind of breeze through them as fast as I possibly can. So around the age of 14 turning 15, I had my first international trip. I went to England. 14 turning 15. Went to England, summer prep, Cambridge Prep University, summer program, top high school students, 200 around the country. And I'm at this little private Christian school, fill out this application, get a scholarship, I end up in England. That's why I like scones so much to this day, because of that trip to England when I was 14. Actually had my birthday in England, turned 15. Incredible experience. Here's what I realized in this space as Patty is checking in with us and saying happy birthday. Thanks so much, Patty, for hanging out with us. Here's what I realized when I left my city of Pontiac, Michigan, to go to England, landing in England. So let me back up a little bit. Before we get to England. So Gina says England at 14. Nice. Recognize that where you stand, no matter what, it doesn't necessarily have to be 11 to 20. When you're in the explore territory of relationship. Explore territory of your family, explore territory of a job, explore section of a new experience. You're moving from discovery to explore. I was doing at 11 to 20. There were many more exploration phases of life that I've wrestled with beyond that. Recognize that the place you stand, you standing in that place, you're the closest that the connection with you is the closest that some people will ever get to the space that you have the privilege of standing in. I need if you got some emerging leaders that you're connected to in your family that you know, please tag them or hit share so they can get this experience. I need y'all to recognize this because so many of us in our modern context with everybody's an entrepreneur, everybody has maximized Facebook ads, and you've become rich off Bitcoin or selling lip gloss or doing something on Instagram, or your YouTube channel has become viral, whatever it is. Recognize that the place that you stand, and I'm saying this at 11 to 20 years old, 14 turning 15 in England, where you stand and the place that you occupy is the closest that some people will get to that experience through that connection with you. So I got to tell you this story. I'm trying to keep it under 40, y'all. I got to tell y'all this story related to England. My grandmother, we all believe that grandmothers can cook, or your grandmother is the best cook. My grandmother knew how to throw down. One of my grandmother's signature dishes was her sweet potato pie. One of my grandmother's signature dishes was her sweet potato pie. And I told this at one of my leadership training sessions that I gave not too long ago. My grandmother is like, I'm going to do everything that I can to get you to England. Now, the trip was covered by scholarship. I'm studying at Cambridge University, and you can Google right now, Cambridge Prep Experience. I'm pretty sure the program is still going on. It's covered. The tuition is covered. Board is covered. Ticket is not covered. Spending money is not covered. We got to raise this. We got to raise this money. And yes, we cancel the assignment of pumpkin pie. It's all about sweet potato pie here. We have to raise this money. Again, I'm in an entrepreneurial family, and we don't have time to break all of that down. But I'm in an entrepreneurial family, and we are scrapping and scraping to do everything to keep the business floating and to cover our expenses. And now we have this wonderful opportunity to go to England, but it's an expense that's not in the budget. So I'm writing old school, y'all. Old school. I'm writing letters to area business owners and family and friends and church members, asking them to contribute to my trip to England. And my grandmother says, I'm going to bake sweet potato pies. I'm going to bake sweet potato pies for your trip. She baked them with her own money and allowed me to sell them. Selling sweet potato pies, I think for like $20 a piece. All the proceeds go to my England trip. And I remember being in the kitchen with my grandmother one day as she's mashing the sweet potatoes with her potato masher. She has this old pot that she would use. My grandmother said, "You are the closest to England that I will ever be. You are the closest to England that I will ever get. So when you get there, make your grandmother proud." Yo, all these years later, 25, 26 years later, that thing still hits me. Do you know why? Because I recognize for all the things that have happened in my family, all the drama and all the craziness, all the amazing times and all the times where I scratch my head trying to figure out, hey, why did that happen? The place where I'm standing right now, online, live, hanging out with you, or some of you maybe even watching the replay of this, I'm closer to so many things, and my parents are only close to them because they're close to me. Yeah, sweet potato pies help to build his foundation. Exactly, Jason. My parents are only close to certain things because they invested time and money and energy for me to stand there. So if this is the case, it is my responsibility not to live for them and not for them to live vicariously through me, but for all the teachers, for all the counselors, for all the mentors, for all the coaches, for all the pastors, for all the individuals that donated. It's my responsibility to maximize their investment in me. And for so many of us, the explore phase of life or your experiences lets you know that there is more to it than you understand. There's more to it than you understand. I'm thinking at 0 to 10, that words have power and people listen when I speak, but I don't know how much more to that there is, because the context of words for me have been classroom and have been church. Now I get to England. Here's another story. I get to England and I'm in a speech and debate class. I don't have any formal debate training. I didn't take forensics or debate in my freshman year. I'm in between freshman and sophomore year as I'm in this program. So I don't have any formal debate training, but I'm in the speech and debate class for about a month. And we're in this class 3-4 times a week. Speech construction, debate methodology. We're going through this. The last event of the Cambridge prep experience, when I was there, the last event was the debate class doing the mock debates. And I end up being the last debate on the last night of the Cambridge prep experience. I'm debating a person who had taken forensics and debate. He was skilled. He was masterful in this. I'm debating him on the final event of the experience. I remember our topic to this day is, how's the world going to end? I remember that clear as day. At the time, I didn't pack any really dressy clothes. I got a lot of church clothes, but I didn't pack them. I had to borrow a vest from a friend for this debate. And I remember being there, last debate of the night, Cambridge prep experience. Now, if this was a made for TV movie, maybe in the movie I win the debate, but I don't. I do tie. When they tally the votes, there's a tie. I mean, this guy was good. He was really good. When they tally all the votes at the end of the night, there is a tie. Inner city kid here on Grandma's sweet potato pies doesn't have a shirt and a tie, not even fully aware of the ramifications of being in a debate, ties the best debater in the program. And I remember one of the teachers walking up to us afterwards and saying to me, "Your words are some of the most powerful words I've ever heard from someone your age." We're in explore phase. My context, my little inner city context, 30 minutes north of Detroit, Michigan, I realized in this moment that this world is so much bigger. And the gift and privilege is so much bigger than I understand. But I can only maximize this if I'm willing to explore. What would have happened if I had said, nah, I'm not going to England because I don't know about their food. That plane ride is too long. The time difference is going to be messed up. And I'm not willing to be uncomfortable so I can explore what has been discovered. This is what gets so many of us. And I talk to emerging professionals all the time. There is this apprehension of exploring the far edges of what you have discovered. And I wish I could tell you that this explore phase was amazing, like that trip from to England, but it wasn't, because this is also an escape phase for me. In this phase, 11 to 20, escape phase for me. Woo! Gotta take some water as we're celebrating 40 years of reflections. Escape phase for me, because we fast forward to my freshman year, the end of my sophomore year in college. We fast forward the middle of my sophomore year, fall of sophomore year. This is when my grandmother dies. Fall of my sophomore year. Grandmother on my mother's side. And I remember just kind of bottoming out. I went from freshman class president at our small college of like 3,500 people or so to just failing. And then the death of my grandmother, the middle of my sophomore year, just lumped on top of everything. So I left school. The end of the year, I just didn't go back. Didn't really leave. I just didn't go back. And two friends and I, we moved to Atlanta. We moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And that, I tell people, that was the best, worst year of my life, or worst, best year of my life. It was crazy. Things that I will never write down. But that year told me that it doesn't matter if you've discovered it and if you're willing to push it to the edge of exploration. None of those things matter if you're not willing to fight when things get really uncomfortable. If you're not willing to fight when things get really, really uncomfortable. I've been in one-on-one calls, Zoom calls with amazing young professionals who have incredible gifts, and there is some workplace tension. There is some disagreement. There's someone who doesn't like them, and they're hard pressed to have the tough conversation about what's going on. And for many of them, the knee-jerk reaction is, maybe I'll just look for a job somewhere else. The giftedness, the opportunity, the framing that you've walked through, there will always come a time where you will feel like you want to escape. That's what I did when I moved to Atlanta. It was just an escape. You feel like you will want to escape, but you will never progress past discovery and exploration in your life if every time things get really, really, really hard, you look for the escape hatch. I had to go back to the school that I didn't have to, but I chose to go back to the school that I failed. I called one of my professors and say, hey, can you help me get back into school? I had to go back, had to retake classes, had to go through a discovery and exploration phase all over again just to get back to the place where I was when I left. And here's an interesting thing about being in Atlanta. I thought that just because I had discovered some section of my giftedness and skill, and that I just pushed it out a little bit, that was enough for me to survive. So I would go to these job interviews and be all charismatic and whimsical and use the plethora of words that I learned up to that point, and it amounted to nothing. I mean, okay, I ended up being an assistant manager at a women's clothing store at 20 years old. But based on this, that was not the spot that I was supposed to be. And many of us are becoming derailed in life and health and relationships and career. We're becoming derailed because whenever times get tough, we look for escape. And part of that is what happened here, but we look for escape instead of the resolution to push through. All right. So next phase of life, we've gone to discovery, explore, ages 11 to 20 for me. Let's talk about, let's make this jump. Let's go from 21 to 30. Whoa. Let's go from 21 to 30. I call 21 to 30 pivot. 21 to 30 for me was pivot. So 21 to 30, undergrad, grad, teaching, like married, kids. A lot is going on here, age 21 to 30. Go back to school, finish my undergrad degree. GPA is not stellar at all. Jeff Tatarchuk checking in with us on Facebook. Good to see you, sir. Not stellar at all. So I finished undergrad. And when I'm finishing undergrad, the chair of my department says, look, what are you doing next? I said, I don't have any plan. I'm just kind of here, haven't figured anything out yet. She says, I will get you into grad school. Probationary status. The only thing is two things have to happen. Number one, that first semester of grad school, you have to crush it. You have to crush it because you're on probationary status. And number two, you are going to teach. She hands me a textbook. She hands me a syllabus. She says, second semester of grad school, I'm going to put you in a classroom of 25 college freshmen, and you are going to teach them introduction to public speaking. That's what you're going to teach them. That's what you're going to teach them. Thanks, Jeff, for the birthday wishes. Remember, 0 to 10, I'm discovering that words have power and that people listen when I talk. I can't figure out why yet. 11 to 20, I'm pushing the extension of these gifts in the explore phase. I get an exchange, well, not exchange. I get a summer program in England to really test out my gifts with 200 other of the top high school students in the country. But by the age of 20, I had looked for the escape hatch because life got hard. The grandma who helped me get to England off her sweet potato pies had died. And I'm trying to figure out, with all the stuff that's going on in my head, my heart, and my family, where I belong again, rediscovery, but I hit the escape hatch, only to come back to my school, finish undergrad, grad school, and now I'm put in a classroom. Y'all, this is crazy. I'm put in a classroom now of freshman students who are in their own discovery phase, not chronologically as it relates to being 0 to 10, but they're in the beginning of their collegiate experience and their discovery. They're trying to figure out, what am I doing here? How do I make sense of it all? What really are my gifts and how can I leverage those things? My Aunt Mary Harris checking in with us. Thanks for checking in, Aunt Mary. They're trying to figure out what to do. And I'm guiding them now from my own discovery exploration narrative as their teacher in the classroom. It's crazy. And my students are starting to say, because I'm teaching public speaking, my students are starting to say things that I heard in the discovery phase of life. They start to say things like, Mr. Quinn, I can't really explain it, but when you talk, there are these intro things that you do at the beginning of class, or these little devotional thoughts you have, or these little inspirational nuggets that you give us that really stick with me. I'm starting to hear it over and over again, the same way that I heard people saying, hey, there's something to you, young man. And you're saying things, powerful things that I've never heard from someone your age at this phase of life. Now at 21 to 30, my students are starting to say the same thing. They're starting to say the same thing. This phase of life, getting married, starting to have kids, recognizing now that my words have power as it relates to my relationship with my wife and my kids. And I remember finishing grad school finally. I'm working 2 or 3 jobs. Now I'm in the fundraising department of my university, working in annual giving office of fundraising, and I'm still teaching and doing some recruiting stuff. And I come down to that experience, and then I get a job with an NGO. And I remember when I take the job with the NGO, I remember this, y'all. I'm telling you, escape hatch, got to be careful of it. I remember when I take the job with the NGO, I accept the job. The chair of my department says, hey, I really wanted you to stay. But I understand that you have to go. I remember the dean of the College of Arts and Sciences coming into my office and saying, hey, I got a phone call from the chair of your department. They really want you to stay and teach here. And we're really on board with that. We've seen your evaluations at the end of the year consistently every semester. Your students are doing so well and they excel. Would you consider staying? I say, I've already accepted this job offer. And the dean of the College of Arts and Sciences said something that if I was not sure of myself, I would have been rocked a little bit. And he said to me, how much do they pay you? It's a question. How much do they pay you? Now I'm thinking, now we're in the age 21 and 30 of life. It's a pivot for me. Why ask me that question? Why ask me that question? I'm also asking, why was that question or the invitation to stay from your perspective? Because the chair of my department all through undergrad and grad, as I'm now having this experience, along the way, she's saying, hey, I really want you to stay. I really want you to stay. I really want you to stay. Do you want to stay? Why, when we get to an upper tier of leadership, an upper tier of management, does the dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, why is this the only time that he is asking me questions about my intention and opportunity with the university? And so many of us make this major mistake. We make the mistake of, when we get to a position, we do it with age. We do it with age. We get to 40 and we're like, hey, I don't even have time to look out for people in their 20s and 30s. They're just going to have to get it like I got it. We get to a certain status or certain position in our company. I don't have time to check in on the entry level people. They need to just get it like I got it. The mistake of this executive leader in our college was that the only time he checked on me was when I was about to leave. The only time he checked on me was when I was out the door. The only time he checked on me was when it was too late. He said, how much did they pay you? And I looked him dead in his eye and I said, enough for me to take the job. Because now I'm open. Now I'm pivoting. Now, yes, I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to be this professor, but now this opportunity comes along and I pivot to work for this nonprofit in a development and communication role. And sometimes you pivot because the space and place where you are, people aren't really to recognize and embrace what you bring to the table. And y'all, that's okay. A lot of us are beating down the door because we're trying to get family and friends and people you used to run with when you were younger, or people in our organization. We're begging them. We're begging them. Hey, recognize my value. Hey, give me a little bit of props. Hey, give me a little bit of applause. And some people are unwilling and some people are just unable. And in those moments, you might not leave the job. You might not leave the space. But in some way, you're going to have to pivot. So that's what I did. So my pivot lasted about a year. I worked for this NGO for about a year. And after that, I go back to my school because now I'm going back to grad school a second time, y'all. Grad school a second time. I studied theology in grad school and studied to be a pastor. 3 years of this. I get my old job back teaching, because the chair of my department is just like, hey, I'm her guy. Get my old job back teaching. I'm teaching now at another university. So I'm teaching at 2 schools. I'm taking 16, 17 graduate credit hours studying theology. I do this for 3 years. And at the end of this 3 years, we hit this same paradigm. We hit the same paradigm. We come down to it. The chair of the department says, can you stay here? Can you stay here and teach? Can you stay here and teach? I'll help you work on your PhD. I will guide you. I will mentor you. And she's been a great mentor up to this point. Can you stay and teach? And I said, no, I spent 3 years studying theology and church leadership. I'm going to test this church leadership thing out. And she says, okay, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Can you give us a final lecture? Can you give us a final lecture? And if you Google Pierre Quinn Ed Talk, take the T off. It wasn't a real TED Talk, Jeff. If you Google Pierre Quinn Ed Talk, Ed for education, Pierre Quinn Ed Talk, Andrews University, you're going to see a calendar post on there. That's all there is. That's all there's left of this memory. And I have a couple of pictures. But she said, I want you to give your final lecture from your experience. And I give that final lecture, 20 minutes or so, about my journey of teaching, my philosophy of teaching and learning, the impact and what I want to do from this point on. And after that experience, about 100 or so people in this auditorium, as I give that presentation, somebody walks up to me and says, hey, have you ever considered being pivot section? Have you ever considered being a professional speaker? I'm like, no, I've thought about being a professor because I've been teaching for a long time. I thought about working in corporate communications because I've had some experience in the nonprofit communication world. I've thought about being a pastor because I've studied in seminary and theology for the past 3 years. But I never thought about being a professional speaker. Like, where they do that at? Like, what does that look like? And she says to me, you should, because you're that good. And I'm telling y'all, up to this point, remember, words have power. And at 0 to 10 in the discovery, I'm recognizing my affinity and my connection toward words. 11 to 20, studying speech and debate in England, giving speeches in church and beyond. In college, I won freshman class president just off giving a speech. 21 to 30, coming back and teaching in this space, giving presentations, really traveling the country, doing a lot of sermons, doing orientation for my university, doing some small training programs. I'm having this at 21 to 30. Hey, Leilani, thanks for checking in. Appreciate the birthday wishes. Having this, and she says to me, you should become a professional speaker because you're just that good. I had never thought about it up until that point. Never thought about it up until that point. But when she said it, I spent the entire summer trying to figure out what that means for me, what that looks like for me. Just finished my theological degree, looking for an opportunity to serve as a local church leader, as a church pastor. All this years of teaching under my belt, all of this experience under my belt. What do I do with it in this world? And I Google it. I just Google professional speaker. And I watched every free webinar, I watched it. All the blogs, I've read them. All the great speakers at that time, I followed them. All the YouTube videos, I watched them because I was trying to soak in what it meant. Because I thought, pivot, I thought that I needed something else than what I already had. I thought that I needed something else. I thought in order for me to enter into this world, there's going to be some tension. So I need a great explanation of why I'm pursuing public speaking along with being a church pastor. I thought I needed an amazing website because all the speakers had great websites. I thought I needed a PR person. I thought I needed great headshots. I thought I needed all of these things to enter into this world of being a public speaker and navigate being a church pastor at the same time. Here's what I needed to do that I did not do at the time. I needed to go back to the beginning and unearth the power of the story that I had already been living. If I had embraced my discovery phase again, if I had embraced my exploration phase again, if I embraced my pivot phase again, then the experience would have been so much different. But a lot of times when we pivot, when we go from one thing to another, one city to another, one job or one position to another, Leilani, one city to another, Shauna K. When we go from one to the other, sometimes we think that we need more than we already have. I didn't embrace the reality at the time that what I had to bring to the table was an incredible amount, and that was good enough. So my pastoral career and my public speaking career are birthed literally at the same time. They're happening at the same time. I start at a small church in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Bowling Green is I love Bowling Green, Kentucky, an hour north of Nashville. It's a college town. It's got the right feel and mix, about 60,000 people, swells to 100,000+ on the weekend because there's always a Corvette parade. There's always a basketball tournament. There's always something going on. Great city. And in this city, and this is the last piece that we'll talk about it. In this city, I start to refine. In this city, I start to refine. That discovery section of my life, 0 to 10, where I'm trying to figure out what to do with my affinity towards words. There's this exploration of my life, 11 to 20, where I'm starting to push the edges of what I've discovered. There's the pivot point in my life where these skills that have been discovered and explored, I recognize they are transferable skills. And now 31 to 40 is where the refining starts to happen. 31 to 40 is when I write 2 books. 31 to 40 is where we start the LLC. 31 to 40 is when I give my first event as a public speaker. 31 to 40 is when I start to ask, what if and what's next? And at 31 to 40, I'm teaching a class at the local university, Western Kentucky University. I'm providing congregational leadership for multiple congregations. There's this public speaking training, coaching thing that starts and it's picking up steam. And I'm in Bowling Green, Kentucky for about 4 years. I moved from Bowling Green, Kentucky to Maryland, and it just begins to explode. And now there are major industry conferences. Now there are big name players, big corporation players who have read Leading While Green, who have read Leading While Scared. Both available on Amazon, by the way. Shameless plug, because it is my 40th birthday. So organizations that are hearing the messages, seeing the YouTube videos, word of mouth is spreading. And now I'm in a place where it's decision time. How do I refine? My LinkedIn coach, YB, checking in with us. Patrice checking in with us. Justin Pierre. Good to see you, Justin. How do I refine? And I have to make a choice. We've discovered it. We've explored it. We've pivoted. Now it's time to refine. So a couple of years ago, I started to have these questions that would pop into my mind. What if all of the refining of what I've experienced up to this point was meant for people who are here? Not age-wise, but in the discovery phase of career, and the discovery phase of relationship, and the discovery phase of calling. What if everything that's happened to me up to this point was to position me to go back and help people who are here? So a few years ago, family and I decided to leave our congregational leadership responsibility. Small by a lot of standards, 600 members. We walk away from that experience. All these things are still going on, still training, still coaching, still speaking, still have these opportunities. Congregation is growing. Great things are happening in our church, but there is this nudge. There is this nudge that what if I'm being refined for something altogether different? And we walk away from this stage, walk away from congregational leadership, walk away from the church position to go full time into the business that concentrates on emerging leaders and emerging talent, that concentrates on people who are at the beginning of their professional career, or they've made a pivot themselves. They're sitting in a new seat of responsibility, and that has kicked them back to the discovery phase. What if that is the move? And that's the move that we make. And now at 40 years old, y'all, at 40 years old, I realized that everything that I have experienced up to this point has positioned me for the work that I do now. And when I step into spaces and places, Zoom calls, keynotes, I mean, I've done the Vegas thing, 3,000, 2,500 people on a Zoom conference. I've been a lot of places with these gifts that have been worked through over the years. A lot of places and a lot of spaces. The greatest reward for me, or some of the greatest rewards, is when I step into spaces and tell stories like this, and people say what Cerise said a few minutes ago on Facebook. They say, I feel seen. They say, thank you for sharing your story. They say, I've gone through something similar. That has been my experience. That's what they say. I've sat in rooms with young executives who've said, thank you for being honest and transparent. I've sat in rooms with senior executives who have said, thank you for telling your story. And the toughest part about this whole thing is that I almost said no to what I was being prepared for, because even at 31 to 40 years old, part of me was still worried about what other people would say. And that's the thing that gets so many of us as we begin to have these reflections. And I've been reflecting for several months now to get to 40, that what will other people say if I do this? What will other people say if I make this post? What will other people say if I write the book or start the LLC? What will other people say if I get married or move across the country? What will other people say if I leave this job? What will other people say if I'm so excited about it, but the first iteration or 10th iteration doesn't go well and I have to reframe and repurpose? What will other people say if I do? And part of me goes back to the conversations with my grandmother. Part of me even goes back to being a little kid on the playground and eating that French toast. What will I say if I don't? When I look in the mirror every single day, what will I say to myself if I don't maximize everything that I've experienced up to this point? Not just for me in 41 to 50 plus, not just for me, but for everybody who is dealing with their own discovery. So I'm gonna give you this couple of pieces here before I let you go, and we're gonna go set off some fireworks as it is now just getting dark here in Maryland. We're gonna set off some 40th birthday celebration fireworks, me and the kids, in just a few minutes. But I need you to give you a few of these before I let you go. Hey, what advice would you give to people who are coming up on 40 or who are younger or who are past it? What advice would you give for your experience? Number one, my advice: cry more. Cry more. Cry more tears. I say cry more tears because for some of us, we will never move from one section. Even though we're getting older, we will never move from one section to the other because we are stuck reliving experiences that we have not grieved. Somebody told us somewhere along the way that not crying is a sign of strength. And somebody lied to you. Somebody lied to you. I'm getting ready to watch the first game, as we're doing this live, the first game of the NBA Finals tonight. And I guarantee you at the end of the NBA Finals, both teams will be in tears. One team will cry tears of joy. One team will cry tears of sadness. And it's amazing how we give people full freedom and flexibility to cry over a game that they win or a game that they lose, but we don't give them any freedom and flexibility to cry at any other stage in their lives. Some of you need to cry because you lost a great coworker during COVID. You need to take some time and cry about it. You need to cry because you You lost a great coworker that just left because they took a better job. You need to grieve that situation. Some of you need to go back and cry for the 11 to 20-year-old you who went through literal hell in your life, and you're just packing it all in. So now 31-year-old you, who is now an executive with a chip on their shoulder and snappy at everyone around them. And whenever something crazy happens in the organization, you get in an attack mode. You're in attack mode because you're protecting the 11 to 20-year-old version of you that didn't get to cry about the tough situation that they were in. So you got to cry more tears. All my leaders, no matter what you're doing in your life, get a space and a place, get some friends, get a closet, get a pillow, get a therapist, cry more tears. I wrote these down because I'm getting older, so can't remember everything like I used to, right? Oh man, take more chances. Take more chances. Take more chances. Cry more tears, take more chances. There was a phase here where I had the opportunity to join a consulting company on a part-time basis, but I did not take it because I was scared of what other people would say. I think about sometimes how much further along I would be in my work to help people in their discovery mode if I had gotten that experience with the consulting company. Some of us are thinking, man, I don't have what it takes. I really want to do a podcast, but I don't really have what it takes. Yeah, you do. You have a phone, you have a computer, you have a voice. Stop being distracted by marketing, by graphics, and by algorithms. If the most important thing is getting it out there for the world and for personal fulfillment, then don't worry about the numbers. Don't worry about the numbers. And in many cases, the numbers don't matter as much as you think. Take more chances. The learning that you do along the way is worth it. I only have a podcast now because I took more chances. I only have a live show that you're hanging out with me live because I took more chances. I only have 2 books because I took more chances. I only make 5 figures per speaking engagement because I took more chances. That's it. Scared, confused, bewildered, messed up emails and books with typographical errors. That's it. Took more chances. Cry more tears, take more chances. More thanks. More thanks. The handwriting is getting terrible, so just hang with me. More thanks. Express more gratitude. We spend so much time thinking about the things that we don't have and the ways that we messed up and what we want, and not enough time reflecting on what you do have. As I'm reflecting on 40 years of this, I realize, wow, there's a lot to be thankful for. There's a lot to show gratitude for. Gratitude. I'm grateful that I did not die in elementary school. I'm grateful that I got a chance to travel the world at a young age. I'm grateful that I had a close relationship with my grandmother. I'm grateful that I went to undergrad and then grad school twice, and that I got a chance to teach. And I have an amazing wife and wonderful daughters. I'm grateful that I've written books and started my own company and had my own leadership training events. I'm grateful. And I know, yes, we want more money. Yes, we want more exposure. Yes, we want to work with bigger companies. Yes, we want bigger houses and cars. Yes, we want more notoriety and respect. Yeah, and we can spend so much time vision boarding around things that we want that we never spend enough time being grateful for what we have. A big factor in reducing your stress and anxiety is being grateful, not just for the good parts, grateful for the strength that you gained and the lesson you learned from even the parts that are not so great. All right. Cry more tears, take more chances, express more gratitude. If my LinkedIn coach is still on here, part of this I got from him. Meet more people. Meet more people. Meet more people. You are one conversation away from a transformed experience. But you're never going to know which conversation that will be. So you have to have more conversations. You are one conversation away from a transformed experience, but you never quite know when that conversation is going to happen. So you have to have more conversations. You have to meet more people. Let me tell you, started this boutique just means small. This one person consulting company, training company, added a administrative assistant over the past year, added a senior advisor and business mentor this year, added a LinkedIn coach and Rob YB Youngblood this year, added a therapist this year, over the past year. Boutique, just me running this operation, doing all the stuff, and now in the space we're delegating and bringing on more opportunities. Let me just tell y'all. Real quick. I'm gonna drop this in, and I know we got Facebook here, my personal Facebook page that I really never put these things on, my business Facebook page, my LinkedIn page, and YouTube. We're having this convergence right now. All of these things are meeting right now because after this 40-year experience, there's this convergence. At the same time in my inbox right now, right before I hopped on, is a reminder of a preaching engagement that I have this weekend. And the very next email that comes after that in my inbox right now is an inquiry that came in on my website to facilitate a training in August. Listen to me, y'all. In my email inbox right now, it showed up right before we went live, is a reminder of a preaching engagement that I have this weekend. The next email behind that is an inquiry that came in on my website to see about my availability to facilitate a training experience in August. And here's what I can guarantee you about the second email that's true about the first. I guarantee you that second email came because somebody knew somebody who knew me or had an experience with me or referenced me that pushed that person to go to my website and fill out the contact form. It came as a result of people I've met. 95% of what I do in the leadership development space, the emerging talent space, the talent development space, the executive coaching and development space, 95% of what I have done has come off of referrals. Referrals. Not something that I've put out there on social media. For me, this is how it works for me. People come to those spaces after the referral. After the name is mentioned, they go to the website. After my name is mentioned, they'll go to a YouTube video. After the name is mentioned, they'll go to an Instagram post. After, that's how it works. My business up to this stage, and if all the marketing experts out there, we can do some strategy around how to pivot that and take that in a different direction. But at this point, my business is a referral business. And as I meet more people, I'm able to have more impact for people in the discovery phase. And my LinkedIn coach, Rob YB Youngblood, who is on LinkedIn right now, look him up on LinkedIn, Rob YB Youngblood. YB, drop all your information in the chat for us. He said, you're connected to all these people, but have you talked to them? And when you talk to them, do you have a clear, compelling statement of what you do and who you serve? If you're just connected to people like we do on social media and get the numbers up and be connected, but you're not actually talking to them and meeting them, you are actually limiting the transformation and impact that you claim that you want to have. So meet more people. And here's the last one. They go together. This is the last one. This is all the reflection. I'm done after this, y'all. Meet more people so you can help more people. Meet more people so you can help more people. And as you meet people and help, and I know this word, we wrestle with this word. We can put a different word here. We can put equip, we can put train, we can do mentor, we can do coach. Providing goods and services is really helping people. Help doesn't necessarily always have to be framed in the context of doing something free for somebody. Let's reframe that. It doesn't always have to be happen in the context of doing something free, because when you go to the doctor, your doctor helps you, but before you leave that office, you're gonna have to pay that copay. They are helping you get better, but there's an exchange that happens. You need to meet more people so you can help more people. And as you help more people, you will end up meeting more people. And as you meet more people and help more people, you will begin to have a greater impact for the people that you're called to serve. And it's not, listen, y'all, this ain't just like a money thing. This is a life impact thing. It's not just a money thing. It's a life impact thing. And I am blessed and I am grateful that today at 40 years of age, at the space where I stand, the places where I've been, the things that I've been able to experience, I'm grateful for all the friends and family members who have hung out here with me on live. I'm grateful for the people who have watched or who are watching the replay, getting the ping. So I'm grateful for y'all who dropped on the Cash App. Appreciate all of it. Appreciate all of it. And the purpose of me standing here celebrating part of my birthday with you is to ask you, as I'm reflecting on 40 years, I'm asking you to reflect. What does discovery look like for you where you are? We can even cover up the years, the chronology at the bottom. But are you in the discovery phase of life or relationship or job, your career, your calling? Are you in the discovery phase? And if you're in the discovery phase, look around just a little bit more, because there's probably something that you're missing. Maybe it's the exploration phase of whatever the thing is. Take a chance and push a little more, because there's more than one way to apply and expand on what you've discovered than you think. And then maybe you're in the pivot stage. It's a really scary stage because you realize, hey, I thought it was only supposed to be this one way, but now I have incredible opportunities to do something different, or to meet different people, or to be in different circles. And I am scared to do it. I'm scared to do it. But for some of us, if we don't make that pivot, and listen to me clearly, listen to me carefully, pivot does not necessarily mean leaving an organization. It does not mean joining a different industry. It may not mean shifting a going to a different company or even church. Sometimes for many of us, and I'm gonna write this here, for so many of us, the pivot that needs to happen is in our mind. We need to start to think differently so that things will be different. And maybe for some of us, this is the refinement stage. And yeah, I've posted a lot of highlights here. I can make an equal or greater box to talk about the challenges in this space. But that's what happens when you're being refined. There's the friction and the tearing and the breaking down and the rebuilding, so that when you exit this stage, and being refined doesn't have to happen at 31 to 40. It can happen virtually at any point in the story, in the narrative. Some of us are in our 50s and we're being refined for something else, or for something greater, for something next. Whenever it occurs, we make it harder whenever we don't embrace it. Embrace discovery, embrace exploration, embrace pivot, embrace being refined. Cry more tears, take more chances, express more gratitude, meet more people, and help more people. So that when you move forward and reflect backward, you will celebrate your experience too. Okay, an hour and 15 minutes has gone by, and it is time for me to set off some fireworks in honor of turning 40. If you live close to me, I know the 4th, and however you feel about the 4th, that's gone, but it's still July 6th. It's still my birthday, and I'm still going to celebrate. So grateful that you've allowed me to celebrate with you for the past hour and 15 minutes. And I love to continue to connect with you, pierrequinn.com. That's the best place to hang out and to get connected, or whatever platform you're watching this on right now, live or replay, go ahead and inbox me, and I love to stay connected with you. All the shout outs that have come through, Anthony James Bolden Jr., man, really good friend of mine coming through, says, happy birthday. You've been a phenomenal friend, mentor, and trailblazer. Keep going. Thanks for checking in, man. My good friend, Dr. Jason O'Rourke, is with us. My girl, my sis, Lillian Drew, has been hanging out with us, been taking notes, cry more tears, take more chances, express more gratitude, meet more people so you can equip more people. Denise has been checking in with us, dropping notes and links in the comments. My LinkedIn coach, Rob YB Youngblood, IGYB the Connector. There's his link there as well. My parents aren't really on social media like that, so I can't really shout them out like that. That's not gonna be cool for them. But trust me, my parents, the Quinns, man. Trust me. If you met them, if you know them, you know what I'm saying up here is so true, because of what my parents have done and pushed and sacrificed. So yeah, shout out to them. If you know him, see him, just be like, hey, I saw your son live and he was talking about you. Da 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 da. They'll really appreciate that. All right, they'll really appreciate that. Dr. Fred Batten Jr., good to see you, sir. Java Madison, good to see you as well, sir. Appreciate the birthday wishes. This is the welcome to the 40 Club. Oh yeah, all right, cool. You said welcome to the 40 Club. YB, I got to talk about this because people are asking, hey, are you going to forecast 41 to 50? Are you going to vision board it? Are you going to chart it? And yeah, there's some strategy involved with 41 to 50. If I had to pick a word for 41 to 50, my word would definitely be leverage. That word would definitely be leverage. But here's the thing: 41 to 50 is informed and influenced by 31 to 40, but it is not limited by it. 41 to 50, the next stage for me, and I'm just speaking for me personally, will be informed, influenced, seasoned by 0 to 40, birth to 40, but it will not be limited by it, because there's the possibility that what I experience here, it's the possibility that what I experience here might not have even been on the radar here, but is the next best step in the journey. So as we plan, there's a space in place for it to be discovered all over again and embrace what's next. All right, y'all. That's it. Like I said, I usually do a Sunday night conversation. So I'm going to give you my Sunday night outro because I don't have a 40th birthday reflection outro. And I look forward to hanging out with you again. My easel pad session. That's how I do. That's how I get down. That's how I have a lot of fun. I know maybe some of this isn't LinkedIn language, but you're going to get it today because it's my birthday. All right. So I'll see y'all soon. Take care.